What is up? What is up? It is another Tuesday and another episode of The Void. We are all fools. That's basically the gist of this whole thing. Seprock beats in the background. Track 21. There is a link in the description. Check it out. It's available on his Bandcamp. It's only $20. It's a double vinyl set. You should check it out. Instrumental album. It's called Side A and B. Another really cool trivia tip or tidbit, I guess, whatever. The album art is actually. Here, let me see if I can capture this. The album art is from his. He went to a trip in Africa. So, hold up, let me see here. Damn, look at that. All right, so here you go. Seprock beats, beat tape side A and B. Check it out. Buy the vinyl. Definitely something to do. All right, so coming to you live from the shop studios. Let me hold on. Someday I'm gonna have a live person running things. I hope someday. All right, here we go. Bam. Told you we are live from the shop studios in Duval. And let me see here. Looks like we got a couple folks on. What is up? Let me change this up. There we go. A couple folks with us. Superfan Chris, what is up? Good evening. I'm glad you could join us, and whoever else is tuned in, glad you could join. It's sometimes I'll tell you what, it's crazy. You know, every episode, I feel like I reflect back on how quickly a week has gone by and another episode is now upon us. And when I say upon us, like I don't look at it like it with dread or something like that. It's just like, wow, I can't believe it's time for another episode. Because every episode, I always think, you know, I'm gonna do more to prep or like have some kind of stuff prepped and be a little bit more professional or whatever, or more like these other shows. Sorry, I am adjusting my seat, which it's like totally not pro. But it's not even like that. Like again, this is more like a discussion. Like we're supposed to be talking about the big topics of the stuff that's out there that that matters, but we don't talk about it because we're not allowed to talk about it, or it's not. I don't know. They're not PC topics, but that means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. So, and that's part of how we get fooled, is that we get fooled into these narratives, these talking points, these these things that break down solidarity for where we could be, especially as looking at it as a class. In terms of class, the people that own stuff versus the people who work for the people who own stuff. Basically, labor versus capital, da da da. It's that age-old thing that's been going on since the dawn of capitalism, practically. Not really since the dawn, but at least I mean, it's been going on since the dawn, but it wasn't really recognized publicly, I guess, published until some of the critiques um, and some of the sort of descriptions that laid out the mechanisms of capitalism, for instance, like Adam Smith, sort of laying out the framework. And there's also, there's a lot of a voice of warning in Adam Smith, where he's talking about, like things like for instance, a side effect of breaking things down into small individual tasks and not allowing someone to know how to do an entire, like for instance, instead of assembling an entire chair, you have people who only know how to assemble the legs for the chair, and these other people sand the chair, and other people um, do I don't know, finish work, or put the some kind of, what do you call it, urethane or whatever, varnish. That's, I need something with a V, varnish, something like that, whatever. Look, and it's like the varnish guy doesn't know how to do woodworking, so he can't make the legs, and the assembler doesn't know how to do any of the stuff but knows how to assemble, and all the other people don't know how to use the assembly tools or something like that. And what it does is it ends up making it so, yes, you're able to reach economies of scale, you're able to reach levels of efficiency that otherwise you may not be able to get if everyone was simply assembling the entire chair from A to B by themselves, mastering all abilities. That is true. However, what you end up with at the end of the day, though, is a population that does not know how to do anything productive. They only know little bits of things that are only transferable to the other, to, like, say, for instance, if you only know how to varnish stuff, well, then, you could transfer, I guess, to another place where you can apply varnish, possibly. But chances are, based on your experience, the best place you could go is another, furniture place or whatever to make chairs, um, or something like that. Anyway, so you end up with, so then if for whatever reason varnish goes out, let's say you stop making chairs out of wood, now you start making them out of plastic and something else or whatever else, or you don't use varnish anymore on wood. Now this skill is complete, is gone, and these or not gone, is there, but is sort of obsolete. And now they don't know how to make they can't make an entire chair for themselves. They only have the specialized one thing that they can do. um, so he warns about some of these things where their transferability of skill comes into question, and then what happens to your general populace. He's talking about these sort of I mean, not sort of, these macro level societal impacts of adopting the system that he's describing. And it's I don't know, it sounds like a warning. So anyway, but this episode or gathering or whatever you want to call what we do, every Tuesday at the Boyd, or whatever on this channel, is just talk about how we can sit and talk and surmise about the way material reality plays out or what is going on around us. But at the end of the day, it's almost like we really don't really know what's happening. I don't think, and the people that think they know, sometimes they're the most suspect. Like, there's no way you could trust that some of these people that they would know um, anything sometimes, depending. So I don't know, but that's where we could sit and talk and have discussions and get sort of to the bottom of things. But there is a narrative that's out there that says don't talk about societal issues, don't talk about this or that, just whatever. But that's where we come in and try to wade through all this foolishness, right? So we have left versus right. We have bickering within political parties. We have the Supreme Court nominations and this and that. At the end of the day, I think a lot of Americans, I don't know, maybe not most, I don't know. You tell me. What do you believe? Um, I believe that most Americans uh, understand the idea that their government is purchased, that the people that are brought forth to the top are brought there for a reason, and that they likely made an agreement with some mechanism or lever of power that they would um, go along in some way with their interests, or at least it's too easy for us to see pathways where that the system could game itself that way. I mean, especially with Citizens United, and who knows? Like, how do these people just get brought forth to become Supreme Court nominees, right? They make it to the short list, and then they get selected. Um, and Really, I think the masses, or the whoever you want to call us, the people, the capital people, I don't think that people realize that there's such a difference in philosophy, that they don't understand that people within certain realms of influence and ability and power, they see people like us, and uh, like they see people like the norm, the mass of people. They see themselves as really different, as being of a group of people who, because they've made it to some lever of power, to some either monetary status or popularity status, influential status, usually money, really cash rules everything around us right now, right? Really, at the end of the day, why, like, why does Paris Hilton matter, right? It's notoriety, money, right? I mean, whoever wants to matter can matter, but it's just society can choose that. I'm just reflecting back on who are these people, the Kardashians and some of these other people, or some notable people who become memes almost, um, good or bad. Uh, people, our society feels like, I think that we know deep down we want to be one way. Like, we want to be positive. We want to be community centered. We want to be cooperative. We want to be loved. We want to seek approval. We want to know that we are, special within the realm of all of humanity, which is a pretty large feat, if you got billions of people, which, by the way, right now at this moment, even if you're listening in the archives, we have 3 people on live, which Tuesdays, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, we go live and we talk about stuff like this. But anyway, Superfan Chris says, we are nothing but pawns in this game the elites, quote unquote, play. And no doubt, who are the elites? I have the Ouija board theory about the elites, or the Illuminati. Ouija Illuminati. There's got to be a way to work in Ouija and Illuminati, but maybe not. Uh, it doesn't matter. What matters is it's the Ouija board effect. Basically, that societal movements occur, things happen, tax law gets written, Congress moves one way or another. For some reason, they're all voting one way or another, despite what people in the population say. For some reason, talking heads on one network or another are really parroting and really holding a flag up for this or that. Um, the it's all this, who's doing it, who's moving it. Well, everybody's moving it a little bit. Whoever has a lever of power, whoever has their hand on the planchet, I think it's called a planchet, the thing. Anyway, the triangular heart-ish shaped looking thing, um, that you use to, choose the letters, right? And everybody has some plausible deniability as to who's moving it, but somebody's moving it, and they're probably all moving it because it all spells cash if they work together, and they know how to work together. And by ensuring that the population works apart, they are able to maintain power, because otherwise the population would wise up and change things around. Pardon me. So tell me what you think. What do you guys think about what is happening? Because at this point, I mean, I don't. I mean, does anybody know history anymore? Can I mean, everybody, people, like, for instance, when I say that, what I'm talking about is, the people on the far ideological spectrum from you, whoever you are out there in the world. These people on the opposite side of the spectrum, do they see history in the same way? Do they understand history in the same way? Do they believe that certain history exists? I've often compared, the current citizens of the United States I've compared them to the children of a mafia boss, in that the children could either recognize the wrongs that the father has done and commit to right them, especially using the privilege and position and power and influence attained by being mob boss family, I guess. But somehow getting to keep all the money and whatnot. And maybe, they want to turn a new leaf or whatever. Now, of course, there's more complexities to reality and whatever, but, just on the surface level, there's a choice the children have to make. Are they going to continue in the path of the father, or are they going to change and do something and make things right? And, we've never really, faced that. And there's a bunch of people out there that don't want to admit that the mob boss father did bad things. And, sometimes they will admit it, but then they're like, yeah, and he was badass. So what? And it's like, oh, that's, yeah. So, that's not what, that's a different way of acknowledging the past. You see what I mean? So we have a choice to make. Are we going to are we going to continue in the mob boss's footsteps, or are we going to break the, mold and do our own thing? So, what do you guys think out there? Looks like we got a couple, extra folks out of the billions of people out in the world. Got four, folks, watching, or joined with us live. Get on to the chat. I think, my Skype should be active. Yes, Skype is active. So if you want to Skype on, you can. You don't even have to have video. You can just basically, instead of calling in, That's basically the only way. If you don't want to type what you got to say, but otherwise, type in the live chat, and talk about what you think, because we are in a. I've used this word a couple times. Epistemol, epi, epistemological crisis. Well, so what is epistemological, or what epistemology? It's this sort of the study, or the, the what a yeah, I guess study, of what is known, or what can be known, or knowledge, that kind of thing. We are at a point where, they're all institutions are suspect. The profit motive has corrupted everything. So science is corruptible, right? You have stuff like Yum Brands saying, or Coca-Cola saying stuff like, having studies, paying for studies saying that sugar, or drinking soft drinks will do some kind of good for your health, and things like that. And it's just silliness. Like, but they can make it look like the numbers are this and that, and then get a couple guys to sign off on it, and now it's a scientific report, and blah blah blah. All right, superfan Chris says, both political parties are one snake with two heads, one outdueling the other, and using us as pawns for their own gain. Um, outdoing. Oh, well, I mean, outdoing or outdueling, I think both work. But yes, indeed, I think basically everybody's bought, and that's the thing. And the important thing is for them to be out there holding up some flag of virtue signal, of generally identity politics of some sort, anti-abortion, pro-abortion, Black Lives Matter, Blue Lives Matter. What's the hot button topic, and then let's talk about that while the banking regulations get pulled away, while labor regulations and safety regulations and other kind of regulations, or environmental regulations, um, all of those things start eroding, or there's no social safety net, or there's no health care, or there's so many things that start to pile up. And as the great philosopher poet, Mos Def, has taught us, that it's that here's the secret. Excuse me. He has taught us what broke the camel's back. Here's the secret. It's all the other straws. It's not the last straw that broke the camel's back. Here's the secret. It's all the other straws underneath it. That's how it went. Right? It's all the other straws underneath it. At some point, the camel's back will break. Now, what will that be? And there was some poll, I can't remember. It was choose some major poll company, but it wasn't something biased. It was generally neutral, known as neutral. What it was like, Quinnipiac, or it was like one of these big pollsters out there. Anyway, they ran a poll saying, and the end result of the poll was that 61% of Americans believe that there's going to be some kind of revolution or civil war, more like civil war type conflict. Um, and yeah, that has now almost normalized. 61%. I mean, I wonder too. Honestly, I wonder how many people actually believe it, but they don't want to say it because they feel like it sounds silly. But I mean, hell, it happened here once before, right? I mean, it happens in other countries all the time. Or, I mean, not all the time, but it happens somewhere in the world. There's some kind of civil war brewing. It hasn't happened in America in a long time, so who knows? It could happen, I guess. What'll that be like? I don't know. I've stated my theories as to why. Again, there's what we're talking about tonight is that we're all fooled. How are we all fooled? Fooling all the people all the time by rhetoric. What rhetoric? Well, rhetoric like, for instance, this aversion to weaponry and armament and things like that on the quote unquote left or progressive side of things. For instance, Granddaddy Marx, if you're a leftist, it would be assumed that Marx would be your sort of figurehead, right? But Marx also said that any attempt to disarm the working class should be frustrated by force if necessary, right? By force if necessary, the working class must be armed, right? That's pretty, that's coming from Granddaddy Lefty, but yet somehow, some way, left-wing progressives don't like guns. I mean, if anything, they should be getting AK-47s, and they should be grabbing Kalashnikovs just for the troll factor of, um, you know, getting some weaponry, right, and having it be associated with that, right? Just because, you know, just with the sort of meme of someone progressive being associated with communism, and socialism and all of these tropes, right? Well, why not embrace it? Go get an AK-47. Go get your Makarov, and fucking go get it, you know, and pack up some ammunition. Why not? I mean, why not? Armed working class. And if it happens to be that there is a civil war within the working class, because they are nothing but pawns to the elite, why not waste your pawns against each other? Let them kill each other off their knees. There'll be less mouths to worry about, less moochers out there to have to, you know, steer around in the manipulated, manufactured society that we have. Um, that thus is the way. South Beach Exotics, what is up? Uh, who are you voting for? Um, who am I voting for? You know, honestly, I really don't know. I don't know. I know I'm not voting for Trump. So I don't know, Dan, if you are a Trump fan or not. But I'm not voting for Trump. However, I don't know that I'm voting for Biden. hmm What does that mean? Does that mean Trump can win? Maybe. I don't know. Honestly, I feel like they're both puppets. Trump might do something crazy, whatever. You know what? Boo on the Democrat Party for putting Biden up. Whatever. Look, the dude couldn't fill arenas back before we knew about COVID. Um, you know, Bernie created a movement. I'm just saying, it's just a reality. It's just, you know, it's like, it's not like I'm a like Elizabeth Warren fan that's like butthurt or whatever. I mean, like, Elizabeth Warren wasn't filling those stadiums. Elizabeth Warren did not create a movement. I mean, if anything, Yang maybe with Yang Gang sort of had something going on, which was sort of a fusion movement pulling, I don't know, sort of edgelordy kind of techie people and some other people from wherever they're jumping into Yang Gang. But Bernie really had a movement. I mean, it was different. If you look at it objectively, there was something major going on with Bernie. Why would the Democratic Party steer that away? Why? Well, because they need to put someone who's basically Clinton point 2.0, excuse me. Right? Why? Because Clinton and Obama both, I mean, they both open pathways for more globalization. Now I sound like Alex Jones, but here's the funny thing about Alex Jones. He intertwined within the gay frogs and the other conspiracy theories and the hoaxes of what's it called? What's the name? Sandy Hook or whatever. Hoax claims and blah blah and all this stuff, right? There are some things that he says that are sort of true, like talking about globalists. You know, there is a sense of this idea of the globalist capitalist, right? this person who is CEO or otherwise owner, majority stakeholder, or even somewhat close to, like even close to 10% stakeholder in major corporations. These kind of people, they have international affairs. They don't necessarily claim a singular country, and I truly believe, because there's always been, if you look back through history, there's been a pervasive narrative or philosophy of people in power believing they're entitled to that power by some kind of right. And I don't know. Let's just, I don't know. They believe that, again, going back to this idea of classes, to, I mean, even more, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. I don't know. What do you guys think? It's not even sometimes about the like class. It is, as far as owner versus labor. It's about who is in control of what and why and where and all of those things. Who who has the financial means? That's really, at the end of the day, who is in power. I mean, if we look at, prior to capitalism, we have feudalism. We had the lord, or we had the, depending on how the fiefdom or whatever the kingdom was set up, you may have a lord who has serfs working the lord's land, right? And they are the landlord, right? They work the land. Excuse me, the serf or the peasant works the land of the lord, right? Or the land, so they are the landlord, and they pay a tribute of their, um, what they harvest to the landlord, or they have to be able to exchange their grain, etc., for gold or some other things, which then they have to be able to pay tax to the landlord, for this, right? Which then goes to the king or to the lord themselves, where they then collect this. I mean, this is basically the creation of monetary system, and I don't want to get into the whole monetary system via the soldier credit system, or not credit system, but payment system, and then the forced usage of that currency by the fiefdom, or the people in the serfs, excuse me. Anyhow, right, how did the lord wield their power? They had resources, right? They had money that they could buy other people to do their bidding, and those kind of things. So that dynamic hasn't changed. It's just now the the mechanisms by which you become in power are different, right? So a lord may be selected or anointed, or maybe they're born into it. There's various ways that you would end up being a landlord or a king back in the feudal days, right? So now it's just a game of who can make the most money, and somehow wield the most power. So it could be less about actually having the money, but it's about who has the most influence over others. I mean, and then at the end of the day, I don't know. I mean, that's what we're left with. We're left with the remnants, or the fallout from all of that. I don't know. So what do you think? Who am I voting for? I don't know who I'm voting for. I really would want to write in someone like Nina Turner or something like that. But I don't know. I just don't even know yet. I got to think about it. I mean, I've been thinking about it, but I don't know. I just can't vote for Biden. I don't know. I wonder if that means Trump wins. So what? What if Trump wins? I mean, we made it through 4 years of Trump. He just bumbles and buffoons his way around. Things are just going to get worse. There's probably going to be I mean, in a way, you would probably call my attitude towards that almost accelerationist. Like, I feel like Trump will bring us to apocalypse faster so that now we can have to rebuild faster. I guess that's the accelerationist take on a Trump win. And I'm almost, yeah. I mean, look, if the American people, if there's enough Americans out there to get Trump to win, well, no, then we have something on our hands. There's a problem, and I don't know. So be it. And then now we have to look at things through a new lens. I feel like we're looking at things now through a new lens when compared to back in 2016, maybe a little bit. Especially now with COVID, especially with the impending collapse that's about to happen, eviction crisis, foreclosure crisis. I mean, unless the government comes up with some kind of solution, which I doubt it. I doubt it. Excuse me. I just don't trust it. I don't think they'll do anything. And I think a lot of Americans are going to suffer and we're going to have a really bad time. I think they are on the Titanic. They not only have commandeered life rafts, but they're now running and grabbing all the desserts out of the buffet to fill the life raft so that when they jump and leave everyone else, they have enough snacks. That's what they're doing right now. And that's how disgusting our quote unquote leaders are that we quote unquote chose to lead our country. I truly believe that is exactly what's happening right now. What do you think is happening right now? Oh, three folks that are watching live. Now, if you are tuning into the archives, leave a comment. I do address comments on future shows as they come up. In fact, I did have some comments about the lighting. I think I need to change the lighting again. It's sort of brighter than I wanted. But anyway, um, put your commentary in there. But yeah, I think we all are in a large way being fooled. If you feel like you're not being fooled at all, then you're probably the most fooled. The most fooled. Like, for instance, you can say, well, James, you think everyone's fooled. How about yourself? You don't think you're fooled? Of course I think I'm fooled. Well, if you think you're fooled, then why don't you unfool yourself then? Because if you already know that you're fooled, then you could right? In theory, I guess you could unfool yourself. And the thing is, I don't have the ability in a lot of cases. You know, sometimes it could be a matter of, can I replicate a study that someone made, or how am I going to validate or not validate something? I don't have the time to do that. I live in capitalist reality. I have to pay the mortgage, or I have to pay for my lights, or the internet, and all of these things, right? So I have to come up with some cash somehow in the world. And if you're unemployed, by the way, right now, the crazy thing is, especially, here's the irony, not irony, the depression. It's not even an irony. It's just a depressing situation. Think about this. A lot of people that are getting unemployment benefits, or at least trying to get unemployment benefits, that one of the requirements for the unemployment benefits is to be looking for a job, right? And to actively be seeking a job. And, you know, if you haven't tried to find a job in a while, you may not realize how much of an ordeal, how arduous it is, how much of a pain in the butt it is to do these applications, to fill in all of what they ask you to do the online assessments, to do the personality test, to do the cognitive test, to do this, to do that, and then to also know that if there's only 100, If there are only 100 applicants, you have a 1% chance of getting that job. And now you're in a situation where you have literally thousands of applicants. So, that begs the question. Number one, why would you spend your time doing something when you have less than a 1% chance? You might have a half a percent or fraction of a percent chance of actually getting that job. Um, Yet you're required to show that you're trying to get this less than 1% chance, that you're running after something. I mean, that sounds very depressing, that I have a less than 1% chance of succeeding, yet that is a requirement for me to go through this action. That's depressing. And then think about this. So what, I pose this question to you. To start your own business, what is the failure rate commonly? A lot of people, I mean, I've heard a lot of different things. Whatever. Put it in the comments. What do you think? Failure rate of new businesses, first year, 2 years. What's failure rate? It's like in the 90%, 80s, at least 80%, but probably in the 90% range. Even if it's 95% range of business failure, that means 5% chance success. What would you rather do? Do something for a half percent chance, half of a percent, 1%, cut it in half. Half percent chance of success. That's if 200 people in your area are applying for a job that you're going for, which is, come on, there's like 1,000 people applying for most of these jobs. But if, let's just pretend there's 200 people, that means half percent, about a half percent chance that you're going to get the job, because you don't know who these people are. You don't. It's not like you get to screen what your percent chance of in the pool of interviewees. You know what I mean? So you don't know. So yeah, you got a half percent chance of getting that job. Would you rather do a half percent chance of something and spend your time doing that, or would you rather take the 5% chance leap that you could start your own business with your time and effort and passion of whatever it is you want to do, that you could do that and take a 5% chance? I would take the 5% chance more than the half percent chance, because if you look at half a percent chance versus 5, I mean, that's quite a significant jump. You know what I mean? So what? 10 times more likely success to start your own business and to get a job nowadays, right? So anyway, Superfan Chris says data from the BLS, Bureau of Labor Statistics, shows that approximately 20% of new pulling a Trump there. Excuse me. Sorry. 20% of new businesses fail during the first 2 years of being open, 45% during the first 5 years, 65% during the first 10 years. There you go. Wait, hold on. 20%. Whoa, only 20% of new businesses fail during the first 2 years of being open. 65% during the first 10 years. Look, you have. Wait, hold on. Make sure I'm reading that right. Okay, they fail during the first. Okay, so look, even for 10 years, you have a 35% chance of succeeding for 10 years in a business versus if there's two only. Remember, we are in a paradigm where thousands, literally thousands of people are applying for a job. Any job, go find it. If it's a decent job, probably at least 500 people, easy. 200 is very easy, right? Half percent chance of you getting that job versus 35% chance you will open a business that lasts 10 years. If anything, these Bureau of Labor Statistics numbers should make you want to just quit your job and go start your own business, whatever, start a new relationship. You know what I mean? Only 20% fail during the first 2 years. I mean, so you can run for 2 years. Come on, you can go. You can try that out. 80% chance of making it past 2 years. Make jump. Might as well jump. You know what I mean? Dang. Think about it in think about it in that perspective. If there's a loved one that you know, or even yourself, and you're scrambling around trying to find a job out there in this job market, especially in the post-COVID job market, there's probably people out there that are like stressing about trying to get these jobs, and are applying and applying, and they're just getting depressed, and it's like you have a less than 0.5% chance probably in most cases, of getting those jobs, and no wonder you're banging your head against a wall. And our systems of reemployment insurance, unemployment insurance, any of that kind of aid, wants you to go and be this slave to capital by having to find a job instead of finding your own enterprise. There are ways to do this. So now, isn't that crazy? A lot of people would say, James, you sound neurotic in that you are critical of capitalism, excuse me, in using such hyperbolic and triggering language like slave to capital, while then turning around and telling people to enter into the capitalist fray by starting their own enterprise. And I say, absolutely, freaking you should jump into the fray, jump into the market, not necessarily the capitalist market, but jump into the market, right? You will have to compete against capitalists. Now, why am I not including whoever these people are that I'm saying, hey, go out there and start your job, go do your thing, start your enterprise? Because if you're doing your own work and your own thing, and you're keeping the profit from your own labor, and you're directing the profit from your own labor, then that's not that's not being exploited. You're not exploiting anyone. You're simply working, right? You're simply providing a service, right? When someone hires you for a wage or a salary or a commission, and that they receive some chunk of profit that is to their benefit based on your work, but they didn't do the work, right? Like an owner or shareholder receiving a dividend for owning shares in something, but while not doing any work, but yet extracting value from the work being done within the organization. That kind of thing. Um, that is exploitation, right? You are parasitically drawing from that's a parasitic load upon the enterprise. So that owner class is sort of leeching that away. And you could say, well, James, they risked everything to create this enterprise. Well, sure, they risked some capital or some resources. Great. Okay. Well, why don't we do this? Why don't we look at how much did you claim that you risked? And why don't we pay that back? And then you also get some interest, right? And there you go. Bam. Now you got your money back and some interest. Super duper. Right? And of course they're like, no, I should have be able to own it forever, and just get money from it and pay people the market wage for their labor. Well, okay, but the problem is that you're not thinking about is people don't have a choice but to engage in some kind of exchange for their labor, right? Unless they, try to make it out into the world and do their own business, which they can try, right? Of course, they can do that. But at the end of the day, if you don't have the resources yet, there is no alternative to exploitation, right? Though Bureau of Labor Statistics stats should show us that even in under the conditions of people having no choice other than exploitation unless they have resources already, um, it should show us that you have a chance as you're getting exploited. Just save up some money so that you can come up with a sound business. Well, so when you come up with a sound business plan, that you can execute on it with that saved money while you're being exploited. Don't spend it on hookers and coke and things like the like. All right, so what else do we got? So South Beach Exotics Dan says definitely leap. Yes, definitely leap. Why not just go take that leap? And here's the thing: when you love what you do, the love comes to you. It will come because when you're passionate about something, people see that, they understand that you know something. And it's here's the thing: you when you're passionate about something, you dig into it. You start becoming a sleuth about it because you want to learn more. You become hungry about something. I mean, it's part of having a passion about something. And through that hunger, you acquire knowledge and expertise in that field. And people see that, they understand that. And they can spot a fake, because a lot of times people, if there is something that you decide, some kind of enterprise that you decide to open or engage in, um, you just have to make sure it's something that people will pay some money to. I guess pay. You got to figure out something where in exchange for what you're doing, that you're making a living somehow. But you'll be surprised in how that can unfold. But I guess you just have to have something in your mind to some degree to have an idea. And that's a tricky thing. Sometimes people wander through life and either societal pressures or family pressures or personal pressures or whatever things hinder us from sometimes even wondering or knowing really, and really contemplating what is it that I would want to do, what would be my sort of dream thing that I would want to do. Um, for the longest time, I thought I just wanted to do nothing at all. I just wanted to go fishing and do whatever and just not have any kind of, like, it would just be a forever weekend. And I don't know that I would always want that. Um, I mean, it would be amazing to have that. However, I feel like the world is not in a place where we could all do that. It'd be great if we could, but meanwhile, people are looting the pantry right now. The crooked politicians are looting the country, while they're looting and there's some looting and burning going on small scale. Our taxes, the American coffers are being looted by crooked politicians. What are we gonna do? People like you and me, people watching crazy channels like this are needed to go and run for something. Go run for something.net, I believe it is. You can actually get help running for something. They're not sponsoring me, but they should, I guess. But help build subscribers. Let's talk about some things. And really let's look at things from different perspectives, because I would like to. We Here's the thing. I speak very frankly about what I believe in, and people can counter me very frankly, and I'm okay with that, but I'll match your tone and pace and attitude and things like that. And sometimes to a fault, which I'll work on. But at the same time, I feel like there are people that are intimidated by that, and they shouldn't be. Don't be if you are. But we shouldn't be as people. I think we should be used to talking about big things with each other, and it's a shame that we don't do. Pardon me. I feel like it's a shame that we don't do so more often. But what do you guys think? South Beach Exotics Dan, who are you voting for? What are your thoughts on the presidential election, and who are you voting for? Like I said, I don't know for sure. I don't even want to vote anymore. What do you guys think? Superfan Chris, do you want to share? Put it out there. And third person out there, whoever you are, what do you say? Who are you voting for? And people out there in the world, in the archive world, put it down. Let's see. All right, we dropped down to 2. I guess they're not really interested in hearing about who's voting for who. I don't know. It's such a weird thing, and a lot of people, they're thinking about their mortgages, or they're thinking about food, or they're thinking about these other things, and the election is almost just a blip, a side note. It almost doesn't even matter, because at the end of the day, I mean, apocalypse of having Trump, according to all of media, according to a lot of people, we're still here. Yeah, people are suffering, and yes, we have terrible deaths because of COVID and his inaction and ineptitude, all of those things. Yes, 100%. How will it be if he had a second term? I don't know. Does America deserve better? I don't know. I don't know. Could be the chickens coming home to roost. NAFTA, all of these things, all of these ideologies, Ayn Randianism, this Randian ideology of individualism, this kind of thing, this myth of the hero, the great man myth. These things are leading us down a dark path. Dark path. Superfan Chris says, I wish folks put this much emphasis on the local voting, which has a greater impact on your day-to-day life than executive branch of the government with bad city leaders. Yes, indeed. Well, I mean, what is it? What a large part of it is because of, I mean, let's just face it, money. There's big money and big coverage, big viewership in national coverage versus local coverage. It's capitalism. Again, it's a profit motive. It's not as profitable to put any kind of information or etc. And also, it's better to have an ignorant populace that isn't engaged anyway. So they're going to end up buying the local politicians, which they always do, and it's usually pretty cheap. And they basically run states all the way up to running the government. So to the federal government. Yeah, so we definitely should care more about local government. But here's the thing: we are the government. We should be running for government. Go out there and go run for something, because you probably are needed. Your leadership and capacities are probably needed. So let's go do it. But yeah. But basically, it's money. Money screws it all up. Well, what can we say? What can we say? I don't know. Seprock Beats is gonna take us out. Bandcamp saying yeah, I should probably pay for Seprock Beats. But I got some Seprock Beats stuff go out, but not through Bandcamp. So here we go. This is now track 1 on side A. B. Not getting much less. I can't play track 21 yet. But there you go. Uh, Superfan Chris, thanks for jumping on the chat. Also, South Beach Exotics Dan, what's up? Thanks for tuning in. Spread the word. Let's get some folks talking about some stuff. Get those people that are like, man, you know, like the people that you're like, man, this guy goes down rabbit hole. This girl that talks too much about the things that are happening. Or if it's you, get on the Skype, get on the live chat, and let's jam. So anyway, it's been another episode, and yeah.
This is pure snow! It's everywhere! Have you any idea what the street value of this mountain is? Charles, wait a minute, hold it!
Yeah. Back in the end though with my boy Seth. See Mitch. They call me Shmiggy Bow.